Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. Naririnig po ba ako sa likod? Parang mahirap makipagkompetensya sa kabila. Pero ano na lang po, yung attention nyo on the slides na lang para we can be as fast as we can. Yung mga tanong mamaya na lamang. Ay, wala pa. Sorry. Okay, so yung next slide. Yung ating pong presentation, tatlong bahagi. Una, ano yung sitwasyon ngayon ng housing? Pangalawa, ano yung mga programang existing? Pangatlo, ano yung mga challenges saka mga plano? Okay na? Parang bumuti, no? Okay. Next slide. Ano po yung sitwasyon ngayon? Ito siguro para sabihin na napakalaki ng problema sa housing would be an understatement. Kasi talaga napakalaki. By the end of 2016, ang perceived na backlog sa housing ay 5.56 million. Yung of the 5.56 million, parang humina ulit. Yung 1.4 nito ay informal settler families. Parang humina ulit. Parang humina ulit. Ayun. Test. Ayan. Mabuti-buti na ulit. Pasensya na kayo. 5.56 yung backlog. Of the 5.56, 1.4 yung ISF. Of the 1.4, 40% ito nasa loob lamang ng Metro Manila. Pag kwinenta po natin yung 5.56 million, sa 6 na taon ng Duterte administration, parang kinakailangan tayong magtayo ng bahay, 2,602 houses a day in the next 6 years. Napakahirap. Lalo pa siya napapahirap kasi yung estimated na growth ng slums ay 3.4 every year. 3.4% every year. Ang pinaka malaking challenge nito yung access to affordable housing. Yung access to affordable housing pinakamalaking challenge kasi kung titingnan natin yung mga programa ngayon para sa pabahay, yung hulog every month hindi kaya ng mahirap na pamilya. As of now, nag-average yung hulog sa 1,700 a month. Ito yung 21 square meter na bahay na hindi loftable sa Shopsy yun hanggang mataas na. Yung 1,700 a month, hirap pa yung pinakamahihirap. In the past 6 years, kung titingnan po natin yung binudget ng gobyerno sa housing, napakaliit. May table ba tayo? Wala tayong table, no? Kung titingnan po natin yung table, before 2011, less than 1% ng total budget ng ating gobyerno yung dinedevote sa housing. Bumuti-buti lang ito mula noong 2011 hanggang 2016 nung bumaba yung gobyerno ng 50 billion pesos. Pero yung 50 billion pesos na binaba ng gobyerno, yun ay para lamang dun sa mga living sa danger areas, pero sa Metro Manila lamang. Ngayon po, yung 50 billion pesos, it's a 5-year project. From 2011 to 2016, patapos na tayo doon. So at the end of 2016, ubos na yung 50 billion, maghahanap na naman tayo ng pera. Ito pala, meron pala. Kung titingnan po natin yung budget allocations, naging lampas lang siyang 1% of the country's total budget mula 2011. Pero kahit pa dumagdag siya, napakaliit niya pa din vis-a-vis the total budget of the economy. Okay, next. Ayan, kung titingnan po natin, ito yung snapshot ng lahat na ISFs na nakatira sa yung buong pie, ito po yung mga nangangailangan ng pabahay. Kung titingnan po natin yung NCR dyan, 28%, pero yan po ay lumang figures galing sa NHA. Yung bagong figures po niyan, ang NCR ay 40% na. So, Kung titingnan natin, Visayas 5%, Mindanao 11%, Balance Luzon 56%. So yung karamihan sa problema sa pabahay, nasa Luzon talaga, at karamihan ng nasa Luzon, nasa Manila yung problema. Obvious naman po yung nasa Manila lahat yung problema kasi yung opportunities sa income nasa Manila din. Ba't tumabingi? Ayan, ayan. Ayan, titingnan po natin. Ito po yung mga Parang may na-skip tayo. Okay na yan. Kung titingnan po natin, ito po yung mga proyekto ng nakaraan. Meron po tayo mga housing programs for ISFs living in danger areas in Metro Manila. Dito napunta yung 50 billion na binaba ng gobyerno. Ang target po natin ito, nung binaba yung 50 billion, 118,000 informal settler families yung mapoprovide ng pabahay. Ngayon po ay 99,231 na, 84% of the target. Pero kung titingnan natin, parang ang dami nang nabigay, pero despite the fact na ang dami nang nabigay, ganun pa din kalaki yung nangangailangan. Pangalawa, yung resettlement programs. Ito, lumalaki din ito kasi kung titingnan nyo, nung gumanda yung ating ekonomiya, naging bullish din yung gobyerno sa pagpapatupad ng mga government infrastructure projects. Maraming mga bahay yung maapektuhan. Sa Quezon City alone, pag dinagdag po yung lahat na maapektuhan ng lahat na government infrastructure projects, ito po yung mga kalsadang bago, yung mga tulay, etc. Sa Quezon City po, kailangan nila ng 22 billion pesos para lang mabigyan ng pabahay yung lahat na nangangailangan. Settlements upgrading, ito yung nag-exceed tayo sa target. Dahil din ito, mas konting pera yung kailangan. Okay, next slide. May nakalimutan yata akong sabihin. Kahit hindi na ibalik din sa slide. Yung sabi ko po kanina, yung previous slide nito, yung 50 billion kasi, very specific yun na Metro Manila lamang. Ngayon po nakita ng mga nangangailangan din outside Metro Manila na gusto din mag-avail ng programa. Pero yung limitasyon ng pondo, pang Metro Manila lang siya. Kaya ngayon, napakataas ng clamor na magkaroon ng expansion ng programa sa labas na din ng Metro Manila. Ano yung mga problema natin na hinaharap ngayon? Unang-una, pag merong relocation na hindi in-city, ililipat mo yung informal sector sa ibang LGUs. Yung lilipatan ng LGUs, ayaw ng LGUs na tanggapin. Ayaw ng LGUs na tanggapin kasi drain yun sa kanilang resources. So, yung tanong ngayon, ano ba yung incentives para sa mga LGUs na tumatanggap? So, yun yung isang challenge. Number 2, yung challenge din ngayon sa mga relocation, marahil yung involved dito sa housing din, ang daming relocation sites na nag-relocate tayo pero hindi maayos yung utilities. Merong mga nabisita kami na 7 years, 15 years na sa lugar, wala pa din connection sa tubig, wala pa din connection sa kuryente. So ngayon, sa bagay, ito pag-uusapan mamaya, kailangan pag-isipan, paano ba maayos ito na mai-impose natin na hindi pwedeng mag-relocate na hindi kompleto yung utilities. Kung titingnan natin yung batas, nasa batas naman yan. Na kailangan yung utilities kompleto, yung accessibility nandyan, yung livelihood nandyan, pero bakit hindi nasusunod? As of now, walang incentives yung mga LGUs para tumanggap ng mga bagong mga residente, kaya ayaw nilang tumanggap. So yung proposal nito, magpasa ng mga batas para mag-provide ng incentives sa mga receiving LGUs. Pangalawa, marahil ay aware naman kayo ng nature ng HUD-C. Yung HUD-C is not a department. We are just a coordinating council. Wala kaming mandate ngayon na mag-execute ng mga programa. Yung mandate lang ng HUD-C is to coordinate yung mga different agencies. Pero ang mahirap i-coordinate kasi yung mga agencies na shelter agencies under HUD-C may kanya-kanyang mandates. Pag tinignan natin, nilatag natin yung lahat na agencies, maraming mga conflicts sa mga mandates na hindi mape-prevent yung mga agencies na i-insist yung mga mandates nila kahit pa hindi ito nagtutugma sa ibang mga ahensya. So ngayon, looking forward, ang dapat gawin ng HUD-C, na kulang din yung aming kapangyarihan, kaya kailangan namin yung Office of the President, mabigyan kami ng sapat na mandato para i-synchronize yung mga proseso, i-synchronize yung mga mandates, i-synchronize yung mga gawain ng 6 na shelter agencies. Okay? Ito yung iba't ibang mga programa. Number 1, yung Community Mortgage Program. Ang nakalagay dyan, 75,413 ISFs ang nasilbihan na. Yung take-out projects ay 68,696. Meron tayong problema dito, yung SHAPC nag-submit na budget na 1 billion supposedly for 2017. Supposedly, ang target nito is to assist 16,000 ISF. Pero nung lumabas yung budget, yung na-approve lamang ay 237 million out of the 1 billion na proposal. So kung 237 million yon, ang masisilbihan lang ay 3,000 ISFs instead of 16,000. So napakalaki yung gap. Pero yung kabutihan din nito, kausap ko kanina yung ating DBM Secretary, willing siyang upuan natin ito para gawan talaga ng maayos na programa. Kasi yung problema din natin ngayon, nung bago kaming pumasok ng HUD-C, naghahanap kami ng comprehensive roadmap, wala. Naghahanap kami ng datos, halos wala. Naghahanap tayo ng inventory ng government properties na available for housing, wala. Naghahanap tayo ng inventory ng kumpletong inventory ng informal settler families, wala din. So talagang parang mag-uumpisa sa umpisa. Kaya yung sa akin, okay lang na maghintay ng konti, pero dapat papunta na tayo sa isang direksyon na gumawa na tayo ng isang komprehensibong roadmap. Kasi kung walang isang comprehensive roadmap, kanya-kanyang agency, kanya-kanyang gawa, baka nagsasayang lang tayo ng government money. Okay, next. Ay, hindi pa tapos. Yung land proclamations, I think you are a little familiar with this already. Di ba yung land proclamations, mga government properties na pag-aari ng gobyerno na gusto nang ibigay dun sa mga nakatira doon, o gusto nang ibigay sa informal settlers. Yung problema natin ito, yung mga proklamasyon na walang problema na ibigay na certificate of lot allocation na ibigay na sa mga nag-occupy, pero maraming proclamations na binawi. Ang gusto kong sabihin, may proclamation na tinirhan na ng mga tao, habang nandun yung mga tao, binawi ng gobyerno yung proclamation. Iba-iba yung dahilan. Isang dahilan, hindi masyado na pag-aralan. Isang dahilan, hindi pala siya suitable dahil danger area pala siya. Yung mga example nito yung lupang arenda, Manggahan floodway, mga may presidential proclamations na ito na naghihintay. Pero hindi naman tayo hopeless in the sense na nung inisa-isa namin yung status ng mga proclamations na nakabinbin, Merong mga nakabinbin na for several years, kailangan lang ng clearance from the DENR, kulang na kulang yung interagency na parang interagency pagtutulungan. So I am seeing that in the next few months, next few weeks, that is what we will be very busy with. We have started dealing with several agencies already. Nakipag-meeting na kami sa DENR, nakipag-meeting na kami sa DILG. Pero ito yung problema. Yung problema because the problem is really institutional. Parang instead na pwede mong gawin ng isahan lang, ginagawa mo on a piecemeal basis. So sabi ko nga, ang description ko ng trabaho namin ngayon, parang finifit together yung pieces of the jigsaw puzzle na maraming pieces na wala. Pero anyway, dahil trabaho natin, hindi kailangan ayusin. Housing assistance sa calamity victims, daanan na lang siguro natin. Yan mas updating lang naman kung ano na nangyayari. Yung socialized housing loan, ang problema natin sa socialized housing loan, marami. Number one, not many private developers are willing to invest in socialized housing. Because, number one, the incentives are not okay. Number two, the process is really very long and tedious. Walang incentives na binibigay yung gobyerno. Ikaw na yung gustong pumasok sa socialized housing, it takes mga 1.5 years to 2.5 years para lang magproseso. So, ang dami mo ng perang nakabinbin, hindi mo alam kung kailan ka mababayaran. So, we are proposing that the entire system ayusin talaga. Okay, next. I don't know if some of you here come from LGUs. Meron ba ditong LGU representatives? Meron ba? Meron LGUs. What are the programs of our agencies which LGUs can avail of? Number one, LGUs can partner with NHA for resettlement sites development. Kaya yung request lang namin sa mga LGUs na andito, kung merong mga informal settler families sa lugar nyo at kailangan ng housing, we would want to be aware of it para makasama siya sa comprehensive plan. Because our difficulty really is basic sana yun na dapat meron kaming data nun, pero wala kaming data. And I even don't know why we don't have that. Kaya humihingi kami pa isa-isa. Number two, LGUs can partner with SHAPC on their citywide strategy approach. I do not know if all the LGUs here already have existing local housing boards. Pero we found out kasi na marami palang LGUs na wala pang local housing boards. So kung wala pang local housing boards, most probably wala pa ding local shelter plans. Mas madali sana for us kung yung mga LGUs meron na. Kasi kung wala pa, mag-uumpisa tayo dun sa stage na magte-technical assistance pa lang kami for you to develop local shelter plans. Of course, that is part of our mandate, pero mas mapapadali yung processing kung meron na sana. In fact, I think when I was first briefed of the accomplishments of HUDC, isa yata sa mga accomplishments ng HUDC was able to give technical assistance to several LGUs. Kaya ang sabi ko noon, parang as far as I'm concerned, that's not exactly an accomplishment in the sense na that is just a program. Dapat yung accomplishment should always be in the form of what happened after technical assistance was given. Also, LGUs can facilitate CMPs with communities in their jurisdiction. HDMF also has a lending window for LGU and private sector partnerships, with HDMF acting as take-out mechanism. Ay, mamaya na yata yung questions. Yes. CMP, nandiyan na kanina. CMP was Community Mortgage Program. Oo, CMP. SHAPC is Socialized Housing Mortgage Social Housing, Social
Housing.
SH, Social Housing Finance Corporation. Number 5, LGUs can also avail of technical assistance from HLURB with regard to comprehensive land use planning and HUDCC for local shelter plans. Okay. As I was telling you earlier, the very basic problem really here is institutional, in the sense that HUDCC is not a department. It is just a coordinating council. So we want to do so many things, but the so many things we want to do is not within our mandate. There has been a plan for many years already to convert HUDC into a Department of Housing, to give it more mandate as far as housing is concerned, to make it possible for everything to just be in one department. Pero the bills which have been filed before have never been passed into law. We will be asking the Office of the President if they can certify as urgent the bills which have already been filed in the 17th Congress to create a Department of Housing. But even without a Department of Housing yet, even without a Department of Housing, we need to make strides already, in as much as there is so much to be done. What we're doing now is, if we need anything that is not within our mandate, we go to the Office of the President, ask the Office of the President to issue executive orders. That is also one way of doing it, but it will make the process very circuitous. That's what we're doing now. We're trying to draft executive orders to be signed by the President. Pero alam niyo yun, parang yung pwede mong gawin sa isang araw, gagawin mo sa isang taon dahil wala kang mandate. Even if the HUDC chair sits as chairman of the board of 5 of the 6 shelter agencies, one vote lang yun eh. One vote lang yun. So, it's really difficult. It's difficult to set an agenda in the sense that you really don't have a hold on all the 6 shelter agencies. Maraming mga problema ang pinag-uugatan ito. Yung institutional na problema. What do we propose to do now? As I have said earlier, before, because we are not yet a department, we are just requesting the Office of the President to issue executive orders. We also want to have a review of the mandates of all the key shelter agencies to make them to synchronize everything. Kasi ngayon, pag sinabihan mo dapat ganito, sasabihin nila hindi kasi yung mandate namin ganito. Na dapat sana yung 6 shelter agencies nagtutulungan. Okay? Create an office that will provide community development assistance. I don't know if you are familiar with Thailand's CODI. Meron silang, yung Thailand has a Community Organizations Development Institute. Yung CODI nila, parang ano na siya, parang very comprehensive na programa na nasa isang opisina lang. Ito yung programa nila based on people's plan. Yung mga tao kabahagi sa pagpaplano. And I think it is the only way to go. Government cannot just plan by themselves and impose it on the beneficiaries. But we have started doing it already with the several programs of SHAPSI. In fact, the money which went through SHAPSI from the 50 billion were all based on people's plans already. 118 of them. Ilan lahat? We were able to finish several developments already based on people's plan. So sabihin, yung mga beneficiaries yung nagpaplano kung anong klase na pabahay yung ibibigay sa kanila, paano ibabudget yung pera, saan sila ililipat, anong klaseng usapan, anong klaseng proseso yung gagawin. And so far, it has been very successful. But in Thailand, it's the way to go. Kasali sila. Pati yung pagtrabaho sa mga bahay, it's the sweat equity of people. Yung mga karpentero, kaya they are able to save so much. Kasi kung kontraktor, napakamahal, yung sa kanila may training sa mga tao mismo, Sila yung mga karpentero, sila yung mga mason, sila yung lahat. And I think it can be done in the Philippines, considering that marami sa mga informal settler families walang source of income. Okay, I think I mentioned this already earlier. It is very difficult to craft a comprehensive roadmap in the sense that the most basic data of all is not available. Ano yung most basic data of all? Walang complete inventory of land available for housing, walang complete inventory ng informal settler families. And nakakagulat talaga na wala nun ang HUDC, pero wala. We are also requesting an executive order be signed establishing a nationwide integrated land and ISF information system. In fact, one of the things also that I asked from HUDC when I first met with the staff was, meron ba tayong section man lang o department na devoted to data, di ba parang data banking, data information, wala. So sabi ko, pwede ba tayong gumawa ng ganyan section na siya lang yung magagather ng lahat na data? Kailangan pa namin humugot sa iba't ibang mga departamento para magkaroon lang. Legislate or through EO, I also said this before, that there is no provision in the local government code which requires local government units to have local housing boards. Dati, meron itong mandate, I think during the time of President Gloria Arroyo, 2009, diba? 2009, dati nagkaroon ng order sa mga LGUs for them to create their own local housing boards and to craft their own local shelter plans. Pero if you scan the environment, not all LGUs have that. Kaya mahirap gawan ng comprehensive plan. Next slide. Patapos na po. Yan. Yung bureaucratic red tape is too much. According to a 2012 study of the private sector, about 68 papers, permits, clearances, licenses are required to develop housing. The whole process takes up to around 18 months. Pero hindi pala yan dapat around, minimum of 18 months. So sobra talaga. So what we plan to do is to streamline and harmonize all the government processes and requirements, mag-government to government transactions na, mag-create ng one-stop shop, not only for ISFs but to private organizations willing to go to socialized housing. I mentioned earlier about our problems with regards to presidential proclamations of lands to be given to ISF. Yun. Magbibigay ng unang-una yung pagpapaproclaim, sobrang tagal. Sobrang tagal ng pagpapaproclaim. There are many proclamations na still pending, pero have been pending for so many years already, hindi pa din natatapos yung proseso. Meron naman mga proclamations na natapos na yung proseso, nag-grant na pero binawi. So we intend to institutionalize the process itself by creating interagency mechanisms to settle the issues among various agencies. We also plan to reinvigorate the urban asset reform program. Before, meron niyang HUDC, pero now wala na. We intend na buhayin ulit siya. Okay, next. Ito, I also mentioned this at the start of my presentation. There is really lack of access to affordable housing finance. If we look at what is available there, yung pricing ngayon, yung pwede nating mahingi sa SHAFC, sa NHA is 450,000, tama ba? 450,000 ang cost ng unit. Pero yung hulog niyan, masyado siyang mataas para sa mga mahihirap. Parang affordable siya sa sa mga middle class, lower middle class. Pero dun sa mga walang-wala, hindi talaga kaya. We're now looking at several models, and one of the models we're looking at is Thailand, again, Thailand. Because sa Thailand, meron siyang model na there is an income threshold level. Parang yung income threshold level siya, pag umangat ka dito, you are eligible to own a housing unit of your own. Pero pag hindi ka umabot dun sa threshold, public rental na lang muna. This public rental system is already being experimented now by the city of Valenzuela. Under Mayor Rex Gatchalian, yung sa kanila, ganun yung nangyari. Also in partnership with the city government and SHOPSI, gumawa sila ng mga mid-rise. Mga mid-rise, I think 26 square meters per. Pero sa kanila, kinumpleto nila per housing complex. Naglagay sila ng mga paaralan, naglagay sila ng mga small hospitals, etc. etc. Pero ang rent ay 300 a month lamang. So, kayang-kaya. Pero yung 300 a month, I think more than 1,200 na yata yung occupants ngayon. Yung kontrata nila is not only payment of rent, pero dapat lahat na anak nag-aaral, lahat na members of the family submit themselves to regular health check-ups, meron silang mga random na drug testing, maraming requirements, maraming mga kondisyon. Kaya if you look at the buildings now, doon sa, ano ang pangalan nun? Disiplina. Yeah. Pag tiningnan nyo yung disiplina villages nila, kahit several years na ang lilinis pa din, ayun pala si Ma'am Ana. Partnership yun, kinila Ma'am Ana. Malilinis pa din, na-maintain ng city government. It's one model we can look at, although the question also there is sustainability. Kasi okay siya, kasi city government ang nagpapatakbo. Pero yung question also is until when? Diba? Until when? So, we're not closing our doors on any one model. Ngayon, bukas na bukas tayo para pag-aralan yung lahat na models. But we have proposals already. One proposal is to promote an array of subsidies. Yung subsidies na i-offer, socialized din. More subsidies dun sa mga mas hindi kaya. Less subsidies dun sa medyo kaya. Yung isa nito, pwedeng ang subsidy is in the form of no interest rates. No interest rates para dun sa mga walang-wala. Or very low interest rate. Kasi as of now, ang interest rate ng SHOPSI is how much? 4.5, the same as Pag-ibig. So, the same as Pag-ibig. Medyo mataas ang 4.5 para sa mga mahihirap talaga. So, when Ma'am Ana and I were in Bistecville yesterday, one of the Bistecville 2 is a partnership between SHOPSI, Quezon City Government, and FINMA. Yung pinakareklamo talaga nila, yung interest rates. Sabi nila, baka pwedeng ang SHOPSI, babaan na yung interest rates o walang interest rates. So that it will be more affordable if we really want to help. Ang iba, yung installation of infrastructure and services on-site, may ibang proposal sa pwede bang gobyerno na yung mag-assume ng tubig saka, at least the installation, tubig saka kuryente. Kasi ano nangyayari ngayon? Ngayon kanya-kanyang apply. So in a particular development, merong mga may kuryente, merong wala. Kasi depending also on their capacity. So ang tanong, if it is really an informal sector community, what are the chances that government will subsidize already or will shoulder yung installation of utilities? How to reach lowest income groups? We're looking at grants of serviced land or home improvement grants. Pag property ng gobyerno, pwede bang ibigay na lang yon? Pero you know, the real problem now in Metro Manila is wala nang available na lupa. So, it is almost certain that in Metro Manila and some parts of perhaps Region 4A and Region 3, lahat na developments ay vertical na. Hindi na tayo pwedeng mangarap ng standalone o kahit row house. Ano yung mga problema ngayon ng vertical? When we were in Bistekville yesterday, meron silang yung Pag-ibig, loftable siya. So yung Pag-ibig is 20, can be expanded to 26 ba yun, ma'am? 26 square meters. Pero ang sabi nung FINMA, pag naglagay na po ng lofts, hihina na yung tubig. Pwede naman po namin mas maayos yung tubig, pero mamahal na. Hindi nakakasya sa 450,000 na limits ng Pag-ibig. So, these are the things that we need to sit down and talk about. Yun. I also mentioned earlier, I think it is about time that we look into rental housing. I am not saying that it is one avenue that we will pursue, but let us at least open our eyes to the possibility. Ito yung challenges and way forward. If you look at the graph on the left side, makikita natin yung blue government projects. Ang in-increase ng budget for government infrastructure projects from 2016 to 2017, grabe. Diba? Yung perang igugugol sa mga kalsada, sa mga bridges, grabe. Pero tingnan natin yung NHA sa SHAFC budget, lumiit. Gusto sabihin, dumami yung biktima ng homelessness, pero kumonti yung pera ng pampabahay. So, lalong lalaki yung ating housing backlog. Ano yung tinitingnan natin? Hindi iaasa lahat sa gobyerno. Tinitingnan na natin yung mas aggressive na private sector partnership. Maraming mga malalaking mga conglomerates na nag-express na ng interest to partner with government. Hindi ko na muna papangalanan yung companies, pero may tinitingnan silang properties na ang participation ng gobyerno ay yung lupa, ang participation nila ay development. So that is one thing that we can explore. Facilitate ease of doing business by streamlining acquisition of permits and licenses. Yung 2 years, hindi talaga yun katanggap-tanggap. Talagang iiksian natin yung proseso. But there is so much to be done in as much as hindi nga kami department, so we have to talk to each and every agency. And yung processing of requirements are not only among the 6 shelter agencies under our watch, but would also include BIR, would also include GENR, and so many other government offices. How do we address the low affordability, levels of beneficiaries, establish and implement income-based subsidy system? I think I mentioned this already before. We will need to craft a subsidy system already that is socialized, in the sense that more subsidies should be given to lower income families and so on. How do we achieve lower cost of housing? Promotion of incremental housing development. Ngayon wala pa tayo niyan. Ngayon pag binibigay yung bahay, kumpleto na in itself. So ang isang tinitingnan natin, which were actually done in Hong Kong and Singapore before, when they were just starting, mag-uumpisa muna sa basic. Pag meron ng pera yung pamilya, dadagdagan. Pero meron ng provision ng pagpaayos. So I think this is one thing that we can explore also, na wag na muna yung 450,000 kung hindi naman kaya. Siguro gawa tayo ng model for 200,000, tapos saka na lang magdagdag. But that has to be carefully studied, kasi baka naman hindi maging maganda. Provide technical assistance in planning and construction. I think I also mentioned that before. Also, yung review BP 220, yung housing standards kasi grabe. So, kailangan talagang i-adjust ito to be more realistic. Dapat i-adjust ito na mas doable. Kasi marami nagiging problema ngayon because of compliance of BP 220. Promote other modes of tenure. We already mentioned before. Baka pwedeng hindi lang ownership, baka pwedeng use of raft. We are aware, of course, that there are There are existing developments already na Yusufra. One example is Gawad Kalinga. They have been very successful. Yusufra yung ginagamit. Yung I mentioned before, public rental housing, which the city of Valenzuela is already doing right now. So we will be open to that. But again, it is something that we need to spend time on. Hindi siya pwedeng kalat-kalat na walang plano. Okay, thank you.